Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, those listening across the greater region of the Upper Peninsula, across the state of Michigan, across this great nation of the United States of America, and around the world. Welcome to the pilot episode of the Press Breakers Sports Podcast, the first sports podcast for the Daily Press, located in beautiful, scenic downtown Escanaba, Michigan. I am Daily Press sports editor, the big dog, Mitch Vosburg, taking you on this magical journey through our pilot episode. So, those of you who are probably thinking, gosh, what the heck is this? What is this show? Who is this guy? Well, I already introduced myself, so that's your own issue. But this is going to be a sports talk show just for the fans located in Michigan's beautiful, scenic Upper Peninsula. That's right. If there's a sports topic, issue, anything going on in the UP, you better believe the big dog's got you covered. So, what's this going to be exactly? Well, I'll ramble on about some things. I'll have some friends and some guests on across the UP that help kind of build the sports scene in the area. These could be coaches, volunteers, players, water boys, janitors. You never know who's going to stop by. Heck, I may even have a couple of people I met along my journalism journey that aren't quite exactly Yoopers, but some people I think that Yoopers could relate to. So, let's get this pilot episode kicked off in the right fashion. So, joining us here for the pilot episode is a young man who is a back-to-back UP Division III golf champion, second-team All-UP quarterback and basketball player, valedictorian and top 10 of his graduating class. Yes, there were 10 kids, but that's beside the point. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to our chat with Mid Peninsula graduate Brad VanDamme. Alright, so, first guest for a podcast can always be a make or break, but I think it's going to be more of a make. When you talk about UP sports, you got to think not only just the big schools, the Marquettes, Naldonis, Escanabas, there's a lot of small schools people don't realize too, and the person standing in front of us is one of those small schools. This year alone, he was, I believe, second-team All-UP football at quarterback for 8-man football, second-team All-UP for boys basketball in Division IV, and he cemented his legacy golfing-wise with not one, but two, a back-to-back UP Division III state championship. Joining me now, the first guest on Press Breakers from Mid Peninsula High School, Mr. Brad VanDamme. Brad, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining me. How are we feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. Excited.
Gotcha. So, graduated here a couple months or two ago. What's life been for you since you've had this new freedom?
Yeah, I mean, it's just playing golf. I'm preparing, talking with the Northern Michigan Wildcats coach about going to play college golf up there in a year. So I've just been playing a lot of golf, perfecting things, working, of course, but mostly just golfing, yeah.
Gotcha. What are you working at nowadays?
I work at the Gladstone Golf Course.
So I see golf's a big thing for you.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, Mid Peninsula schools. I knew about, now when I moved to the UP, I knew like a handful of schools. You guys were one of them. But super small school, less than 60 kids in there. What was life growing up for you in just such a small school where everybody from K through 12 is in that building?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You know, I mean, all the way from kindergarten to the seniors, you know everybody in the entire school, and it's just kind of a surreal experience to know, you know, every single kid. I only had 10 kids in my graduating class, so it's kind of like that's your friend group. Like, that's the kids you grow up with, and it seems like it just gets smaller and smaller as you go. You know, sometimes the kindergarten class is 25, 30 kids, and then you get to middle school and it's 15 or 20, and then for my class it was 10 when we graduated. Some of the classes, they get bigger as they go, but it's just kind of nice. I formed, you know, that's the kids you hang out with, that's the kids you play sports with. It's just you spend every moment with those 10 kids in your class. There's no cliques, there's no, you know, it's just those 10 kids.
Yeah, so I know for a lot of high schools at graduation, being top 10 in your class has a lot of value to it, but
yeah.
You made it automatically, my man. How's that feel?
Yeah, it was nice.
Gotcha. So, one thing I think a lot of general sports fans may not realize is kind of how smaller schools can work their rosters. Obviously, if you're 100 kids to 51, you get to bring 8th graders up, 50 below brings 7th graders up. You fit in that 8th grade category. Did you get a chance to play much to 8th grader? And if so, I mean, just what was kind of that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously being an 8th grader, playing any sports other than junior high sports is crazy. But I think for the most part, all of the kids in my class and the class ahead of me played JV sports as an 8th grader. None of us played varsity or anything like that, but we all played JV, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it prepares you for, when you're a junior or a senior, you're ready to go by that point. You're used to the pace. The clutch moments don't seem as crazy when since an 8th grader you've had those moments. So it's nice being able to get used to that pace of play.
Gotcha. What was that like for you, obviously being 14, 15 years old and jumping to a JV level? Because obviously it's not just freshmen, sophomore. Some schools you have situations for kids where, you get some 17, 8-year-olds in there. But for you being 14 and probably not as tall or as big as you were, I mean, what was that first experience like for you?
It was crazy. I mean, especially we'd go up, we'd play Crystal Falls or I mean even North Central when they had some crazy teams there. Just team camp. It's crazy when you see a guy a foot taller than you, a foot and a half taller than you, he can dunk the ball and he's on JV. It's just kind of crazy. But I guess coming from a smaller school, knowing that we're kind of always the underdog, it just made me want to push even harder to know. I'm undersized for this level of play. I'm undersized for, the guys I'm playing against, but we just kind of always approach it with an underdog mentality and gave them heck.
Gotcha. So obviously March 2020 was kind of a weird time for everybody. Obviously a small school like that, I know in this area particularly, internet's not always the most easiest thing to access, but for you, those first couple months, like, what was that pandemic like for you as a student?
Yeah, I mean, as a student and an athlete, it was crazy. As a student, it was, I guess it was like you went into every day not knowing what to expect. You went in, you attended classes online, so we used, it was like a FaceTime. You just FaceTime your teachers pretty much with the other students there, just a Google Meet, and it was a little more informal than in-person classes, obviously, but it was just you go in, you kind of get your information, and if you wanted to learn, you had to be independent about it. You had to want to go out and study, and you had to want to. Nobody was pushing you. It was hold yourself accountable, and same exact thing for athletics, especially during that time. There was, you had to wear a mask playing basketball, and you had to, most of the time, especially at the start, we couldn't even practice, and it was just crazy. You had to want it for yourself. You couldn't. Nobody was there to push you. If you wanted to be good at something, you had to want it for yourself.
You kind of mentioned, having to find that, that self-drive. How were you able to find that?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I really do think Mid Pen helped me find that, knowing that we're the underdog. We're never going to be on the better odds of things. You have to earn it, and I guess that Mid Pen just kind of taught me that. It made me want to be the best version of myself, because for my teammates, when you only have on the varsity basketball team 9 guys, you have to have 9 guys who want it to be competitive, and that's just what we all wanted it bad enough for each other that it just made us that much better.
All right, so rapid fire round. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Question 1: does pineapple belong on pizza?
Nope.
Why?
I don't know. Pizza's like, I mean, I guess if it's hot maybe, but I don't like pineapple hot, and I like my pizza hot, so I just can't do it.
Gotcha. Favorite athlete?
Favorite athlete? Tiger Woods for sure.
You're ordering a burger. What's on your burger?
Oh, what? I mean, I guess it depends. I like an egg on my burger. Just like toss an egg on there, get some onions, pickles, ketchup, mustard. And yeah, that's some lettuce probably. That's probably about it. Yeah.
Favorite movie?
I guess I gotta go golf again. Happy Gilmore.
Respect. I love that too. You're a golfer. What kind of golf ball do you prefer to hit?
Titleist Pro V1 left dash.
Totally fair. All right. So my rapid fire. How you feeling?
Feeling good.
Gotcha.
Quality answers.
Gotcha. So first time I got to interact with you was a trip to Mackinac Island, and you know where I'm going with this. There was this one hot take you had, and you were the only one on the bus that believed it. So I'm going to ask you, Brad VanDamme, why do you believe you could beat Caitlin Clark in one-on-one?
Well, I think my philosophy may have changed on that, but now that she's kind of tearing it up. But I just kind of thought, well, maybe, the average high school basketball player who is, especially, in the UP, not always the worst. You can kind of take her down in the paint, and she's only like 140 pounds, 130 pounds, so I figured maybe I could just do that, and if it was make it, take it, hopefully keep the ball before she could get it.
Gotcha. But, I mean, talk about the Mackinac trip. I mean, that for me as a journalist was a lot of fun because I know not every kid in high school gets to do that, especially a smaller school like you guys. How fun was that Mackinac trip for you, and what do you remember most about that trip?
Yeah, I mean, that was an absolute blast. I mean, just kind of even just a team bonding of going there. Obviously, we didn't come out on the side of things we wanted to, but it was a blast. Just, I think what kind of stood out to me was talking, we got to talk with the other team. We got to talk with the Mackinac Island kids, and them telling me, oh, yeah, we ride our bike to school like it's normal. Like, it was just crazy to me to see that people come, and they're just as small as us, smaller school-wise, and it's kind of crazy to see, wow, there actually is schools that are smaller than us, but it was an absolute blast going over there and on the bus with the teammates and having the girls team on there. It was just an absolute blast. Like I said, it's just those same kids that you're always with, and it just made us even tighter, especially senior year. It was super cool.
Gotcha. So, quarterback this year, played for second UP title in golf, was neck and neck with your younger brother Christian. What made your senior year so special for you?
It was everything I wanted since I was in elementary. Obviously, sports was probably my favorite thing. My mom always preached being a student athlete. I always wanted to be an athlete student in the opposite order, but it was just kind of really cool. Obviously some of our seasons didn't pan out exactly how we wanted them, but it was just a blast. Finally getting to the level of play that I wanted to be at since I was in elementary. It was just super cool to kind of see my hard work pay off,
One thing I want to ask you, too, obviously your dad is the superintendent there, which I assume it's sometimes can't be easy. You always got to be in best behavior, but from kindergarten to your senior year, obviously, every day you spent with him. Now, how are you dealing with that, knowing that, that aspect's going to change?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a huge change. If I ever had a question or ever needed guidance, I could go right down the hallway and just talk to him. He's right there, especially, the school is not very big and it's only one building, so he's always there, and it's definitely different, but it's nice, like I said, it's nice to become independent. It's nice to, take over for myself, and I'm excited. I'm excited to start a new chapter.
I'm excited for you too, man, and I'm going to do something that it's going to be new to this show, and probably something how podcasts don't go. I'm pulling out here an invisible, imaginary Uno reverse card. So, Mr. VanDamme, you have 3 questions to ask me up to that. Fire away.
Okay, so my first question for you is, who is the greatest golfer of all time?
It's got to be between Tiger and Jack Nicklaus.
Yeah, that's... Okay, so here's the thing. I have to get an answer because there's an in-school rivalry of half of us think it's Tiger, half of us think it's Jack. And obviously I think it's Tiger. I don't even think it's close. But they played in different eras, and they played with different clubs. So if you had to pick one, who would you pick?
Actually, you know what? Since you brought up that fight, the whole battle with the school, I'm going to pivot and say John Daly.
Oh, John Daly. Yeah, I like that answer.
Now, I understand the dude doesn't work weekends. I get that. But just his sheer ability, just on that alone, what he was able to do and the impact he had on the sport is just ridiculous. So I'm going to pivot away from you guys and go with the guy I play with all the time on my first golf video game, Tiger Woods 05.
Yeah.
He's a long ball hitter, so I'm just going to say John Daly.
All right. Fair enough. Now, my next question for you is, who is the greatest basketball player of all time? I mean talent-wise, because I feel like this argument gets too often to, well, it's this guy's more championships or he was more successful talent-wise. Who do you think's the best?
I always say Bill Russell personally because that's the guy you named your Finals MVP after. That's the guy who has...
Fair enough. Yeah.
He's dominated the college level. He has 11 championships, but yeah, I get it. You can make the case that the game has evolved so much, but the basic elementary roots are still there.
I agree.
That was still a guy that, did not lose.
Yeah, he didn't. You're right. I mean, so my final question is, what is the most prestigious act of sportsmanship you've ever witnessed?
Ooh.
Tough one.
That's a good one. I want to steal that from now on, by the way. This would have been back at the end of February, early March. It was Gladstone Girls Basketball's regular season finale. They hosted Negaunee. And what both teams agreed to do for Addie Trombley, who was, I believe, she would have been All-State academic for softball, or she was. I can't remember which one. Yeah, she was, but all the rest of that senior class. Mm-hmm. Second game of the year against Kingsford, she plants on her leg in the second quarter, and her ACL, MCL, meniscus all just explode.
Oof.
Like, she's screaming on the floor. I'm like, oh, God, no. But that senior night, that last game, Vagani and Gladstone came to an agreement like, hey, let us go and get this first basket easy, and then we'll give Addie a shot at the free throw line. Fortunately, she made her first shot. But to have that knee issue that bad as it was, and for both schools to agree, like, give that senior that one moment.
That's really cool, yeah.
Especially for a kid like Addie. That's such a good kid and such a smart kid. I mean, she's got that scholarship for 2 years, all paid for at May. So for me, what Nagani was able to do for Addie Trombley takes that cake.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah, and it's the only one I could think of on the fly. Because I'm trying to think of my playing days too, but I couldn't do anything. But
I should have let you know sooner.
You're good. It's all good. No, that's the point of this whole thing, man. That's the point of this whole thing. So, wrapping things up here, obviously you got a chance to go off with your brother Christian, and he's right up on your heels. The kid's gonna be a freshman next year. He's got 4 years of high school sports left. Obviously, you did your thing, but what do you think Christian is capable of?
I think Christian has a very high chance, and we can look back at this in 4 years, but I think he's going to win the next 4 Division III UP Finals championships. I think that he's a better golfer right now than I am, and it just so happened that I had his number this year. But when we go out and play, just casually, he's either right there with me or beating me. It's never really the other way around that I'm just slamming him. He's usually the one just putting me in the dirt, and he's so talented at such a young age. I just think that there's no way that it doesn't go well for him. So he has a very bright future.
Gotcha. What about Benji?
Benji, you know what? He has a chance at playing some golf. We'll see where he goes from there. He might have to remain the mascot though.
Hey, you know what? For my brother, I was the mascot, the cheerleader. He wanted to be a national champion baseball player, so that all worked out in the end. But Okay, let's go with questions here. The phrase I've learned over my first year here is UP Power. What does that mean to you?
I think that, in my opinion, UP Power, everywhere has their little saying, kind of similar to that, this area is better than this area. I think UP Power means something different than that. UP Power is like, it's like when the Weaver families, the parents died. It was UP Power. We all kind of came together to support the kids, and it was just an overwhelming amount of support. You don't see that anywhere else. That's UP Power. UP Power isn't, we're going to send, obviously UP Power works both ways, but I just think that it's something bigger than this team's better than this team. It's we're all bonded together as one group, and it's more of a quality than a physical trait. And that's just how I would put it. It's we all have each other's back, and no matter where you are, I've been down on trips to Florida or Texas, and you figure out somebody else is from the UP, and there's just that bond. You have each other's back instantly, and I feel like that just doesn't happen anywhere else. So that's what UP Power means to me.
Gotcha. All right, last word. So, Brad, wrapping it up here. What's anyone you want to say hello to, or any last message you want to give to our soon-to-be rapidly expanding audience?
Yeah, shout out my parents, my brother, my grandparents, and the NMU golf team.
Gotta get that plug where you can. Well, Brad, I appreciate the time. Obviously, this was a little time in the making, but I'm glad we got this going on. I'm glad you make it.
Excited, yeah, I'll definitely be following. So
awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Brad. We appreciate it. Alright, big thanks to the show's first guest, Brad VanDamme. No, folks, sorry. No relation to Rob or John Claude, although that would be kind of cool, too. But yeah, big shout out to Brad. Good luck to him with his golf journey. But now let's transition to a bit about what's going on up here in the UP. So, for those of you who don't know, UP is a great big dividing line between the Green Bay Packers and Detroit Lions, and well, the Packers kind of make a little more noise right now. Kenny Clark has got a huge 3-year, $64 million extension. Totally worth it. And Jordan Love is not going to practice at all in training camp until he gets his contract extension set. And, yeah, Brad and I were actually talking before we recorded about the whole situation, how it's kind of hit or miss, how it's kind of weird. Well, Folks, hate to break it to you, but this is going to get done just fine. At the end, we're all going to laugh at this, but contract extensions are honestly kind of like planning for weddings. Sure, you get the engagement, you propose, all this stuff, tears are flowing, all this stuff, champagne's flowing, cool. But then from the moment you get engaged to the actual wedding day, so much has to go on behind the scenes. You have to pick a date, you have to get a venue set, you have to make sure all the families are meet. You got to figure out who that weird uncle is that may or may not lose his shirt over a certain song at the reception. You got to figure out what you want to serve. You want chicken, you want steak, lasagna at your reception. What kind of DJ are you gonna have? Are you gonna have a band? Who's gonna perform the ceremony? You know, what's your decor gonna be? Where are you getting the cake from? What's the cake gonna be? Is it actually gonna be cake, or are you gonna get donuts from a nearby bakery like my cousins did for their wedding, which, by the way, not a bad move. Appreciate that so much from you guys. There's so much has to go on the scenes before you get to the end of the line, before you say I do, before you all kiss the bride and all that stuff. So much has to go on behind the scenes. So much has to figure out, okay, what's the cap value going to be? What's going to be the guarantee money? What's the trade situation going to look like? Is there no trade clause? Is there going to be an opt-out clause in there? What's going to be kind of other little things in there? How much say is Jordan going to have in the offense? How much money is dedicated just to Jordan? How much say is Jordan going to have? How many years is this going to happen? Do you see the parallels? And the extension's going to get done. Just like the Lions in golf, around the draft time, we kind of figured, hey, it's going to happen soon. Brad Holmes is very much, hey, we're working on it. This stuff takes time. It's the same thing with Jordan Love. And right now, as I'm talking, flapping my gums about this, it is July 24th. So you still have at least like 3 weeks before your first preseason game. You have over a month until the season opener in Brazil against the Philadelphia Eagles. This is going to get done. It's just going to take a little time. Just breathe and pray to God the mother-in-law is not insane. So, yeah, Packer fans, just stay calm. Jordan Love, definitely going to be a Packer. Switching now to the other side of the mighty Mackinac Bridge. Let's go downstage, talk about the Tigers for a hot second. So, rumors are swirling that the Dodgers and the Orioles are prepared to make massive offers for Tarik Skubal, a man who's probably the front runner for the American League Cy Young right now, and I don't know who else competes at this point outside of Garrett Crochet, who also is probably going to get moved. Then also you got to deal with Jack Flaherty, also the expiring contract, the 1 year, $14 million deal, which I think we all knew at the beginning of the year this was going to be the case for him. So Flaherty definitely getting shipped off. With Skubal, it's a little more interesting because you have 2 years of team control left. He's obviously the best part of the organization right now. Because let's face it, there's anyone that line up putting up that kind of same quality of numbers as Skubal? You can look back the past 5 years and you still probably won't find anybody doing what Skubal has done. It's the equivalent from pitcher to hitter. You get the point. The only way you really move off Skubal is basically if Baltimore says, hey, take our top 3 prospects, including Jackson Holliday, take all this, take all that, just take our farm system and go. And the Dodgers, the same thing, although the farm system isn't as great. Now, if that Godfather offer, the offer that the Detroit Tigers front office just can't refuse, and that doesn't happen, lock that dude up right now. I don't care if you have to offer him, I don't care if he takes an 8-year, $360 million deal with like a 42% stake in Little Caesars just in general. If he has a private suite in Motor City Casino the entire time of his career and for his life, that's the guy you want to build around. Because, yeah, I get it. The window is hit or miss right now. But that's just the way he's pitching now and the way he's grown and developed. And hopefully the guy he continues to be is a guy who is a Cy Young caliber guy for the next 5, 6, 7 years. And, yeah, I get it. It's risky because a lot of the core guys, a lot of kids they've drafted, especially the hitters, are all high school guys outside of Jace Young, who probably a year or two away. Guys like Skubal don't come around very often. They're monsters, they're unicorns, they're those 1 in a million, they're that one diamond you find in the massive pile of freshly sharpened needles. That just sounds painful, but it's the truth. If I'm the Tigers, I gotta find a way to keep Skubal around. He's gotta be a Tiger for life. So either ship the guy off for the absolute haul and redo your lineup entirely, which, let's face it, with Javier Baez's contract and with the development, or lack of Spencer Torkelson, something has to happen here. Either you got to keep Skubal long term, or you got to find a way to get new bats. So, yeah, and then just to wrap this up really quick here, I want to give one special little shout out. Before I was up here in Escanaba, I served as a sports reporter for the Manistee News Advocate and the Benzie County Record Patriot. My coverage area with the News Advocate and the Record Patriot included 7 high schools. My coverage area now is 11 high schools and 1 community college, so definitely a little bit lighter load. But one school I really found my confidence with, and one school I got along with and got really tight with the coaches and the kids, was a tiny little school called Manistee Catholic Central. Very much like with Mid Peninsula and with Brad VanDamme, that school also, in my last year there, had 53 kids. The small but mighty Sabres. Everybody from kindergarten to your senior year of high school was in that school. It was a school that gave me a chance to really work my photography skills, my writing skills improved. Heck, a lot of the writing awards, even some of the photography awards, of the 9 I have in total, not a big deal, flex on that, came because of what I did covering Manistee Catholic Central schools. And unfortunately, the 2023-24 school year was the last for the small but mighty Sabres. So I'm going to close off this episode by just saying thank you to the wonderful folks at Manistee Catholic Central, to all of Sabre Nation. And I say this, even though it's supposed to be a UP show, there are a lot of similarities between the small school down there and a lot of the small schools we have up here. Because those small schools, at least for us as journalists, at least for me, maybe for some others too, but those small schools are the reasons why journalists like us get to move up and on with life. It's small schools like Manistee Catholic Central, like Mid Peninsula, like Big Beta Knock, like Hannahville, like Kearney Natal, like Powers North Central. It's those little schools that are kind of hanging on for dear life right now. And unfortunately, one of those small schools that helped me get to this point right now, one of those small schools that helped me get to this area, get up here to the UP, and ramble on about sports, one of those schools that helped launch me here is no more. So I just want to take a second and say thank you to everyone with MCC, to all of Sabre Nation. Can't even begin to express my gratitude, but just thank you. And for that, I am grateful. And for that, this wraps up the pilot episode of Press Breakers and Sports Podcast. I am Daily Press Sports editor, the big dog, Mitch Vosburg. Thank you for listening. Please continue to support this show. Thank you so much. Subscribe, like, share, text it to people, email it to people, send this episode via carrier pigeon. Thank you so much for stopping by. And as always, keep your stick on the ice.